Let us welcome the last speaker. The last speaker is Ms. Natsuki Toshima from Waseda University, W.E.S.A. She will deliver her speech under the title of Look Up and Live a Fulfilling Life. Look up and live a fulfilling life. So, Ms. Toshima, would you come up to the stage?
Thank you, Master of Ceremony, distinguished judges. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me ask you one question. What are your best memories? My best memory is my participation in the National Track and Field Championship when in elementary school. How about you? When you first met your little brother, winning your tennis tournament, seeing some beautiful scenery, meeting a favorite artist? I guess everyone has their own beautiful and interesting memories. But how about using the smartphone? Is there anyone here in this room who would say that using the smartphone is one of life's most precious memories? Imagine that you're watching humans' lives from a high place in the sky. You rise higher and higher. Then what can you see? You can't see people's faces because they're bending over and looking down. You can only see the back of everyone's head. Why are they looking down? Because they're looking at the smartphones. All of them, just all of them, are completely focused on their phones, no matter what is happening around them. The smartphone is the greatest invention of the 21st century. We cannot live every day without it. According to the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications, the average screen time of university students is more than 4 hours per day. Actually, with the pandemic of COVID-19, about 80% of the people had come to having smartphone addiction in 2022. In fact, we check our phones once every 10 minutes on average. I heard some people would bring their smartphones if they were to go to a deserted island. Do these people think they could eat their smartphones when they come close to starving? Not long ago, I saw a man sitting in the priority seat and didn't realize an old woman was standing in front of him. He was focused on his phone. At the time, another woman sitting in a seat offered her seat. Actually, we shouldn't use phones near the priority seat. We may lose our kindness by focusing on it. I sometimes see people staring at their devices without saying anything while waiting for the dishes at the restaurant. That situation doesn't produce enjoyment. They're all focused on their own virtual world in silence. I wonder how on earth they can enjoy having a meal together. According to Nikkei 2017, people, especially students in Japan, tend to communicate with people on the internet. They can't establish relationships easily in the real world Then, some people get used to the virtual world and are troubled with those real-life relationships and quit schools or companies. Like this, people depend more on the virtual than we expected. I want to ask, where are you living now? Some time ago, I was with my 83-year-old grandmother Tom, and I casually touched her hand. You are thick, bulky, and very warm, and it gave me a real sense that she had indeed lived through all those years. This sense made me want to hear her stories, and I asked her to talk to me about her old times. Since then, she had often told me her stories of her younger days. She was born in the middle of World War II. She could eat rice only twice a month after the war. Her father was the president of a pickled food shop. She entered college after working at the bank for 2 years. She married and raised 2 children. I was always bored in the Japanese history class, but I never got bored of sitting in front of her and hearing her stories. The twinkle in her eyes, the touch of her hands, and the atmosphere around her made her stories so vivid. I have enjoyed imagining what her life must have been like in the past. Anybody will be moved by such experiences. Why? Because they're from the real world in which we actually live. None of those wonderful experiences belong to the virtual world. In the real world, we can communicate directly with our friends and family. You can smell or touch things. We can experience things in a more lively manner. The wonderfulness of a real world. How lucky we are to live in this world. Changing the screen color into monochrome or removing the applications is said to be a good way. But I'm not saying the smartphone is the problem. I'm not saying the applications are the problem. Going back to the times when the smartphone had not been invented is not the solution. You may think. Then what do you suggest? The solution is us. It's very simple, and you can practice from now on. Let's look up from our phone. The world is full of beautiful and interesting things. Let's set ourselves free and bring ourselves back into it. Get up and experience the real world things, because we are the residents of that world. Feel them, touch them, and enjoy them. Look up and live fulfilling lives. Thank you.
Now, we have a question and answer session. Mr. Eboshi, please.
Good afternoon, Toshima-san.
Good afternoon.
Okay, how do you feel right now?
I was very nervous because this is the first time for me to join this open contest like this.
So it's going to be a very great experience for you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for your speech. So my first question is, actually, what problem do you want to solve throughout this speech?
Through this speech, these days people don't feel important to live in this real world and tend to depend on the virtual world like smartphones, and people don't look at in the real world and always looking at the smartphones. So I was very shocked to see the situation.
Okay, so your point is that kind of virtual reality versus reality.
Yeah.
Okay, so would you please share us with what kind of problems or issues are there when we only focusing on or when we living in virtual reality?
I think we are human, so we are living in the real world, but if we focused on only the virtual world, we can't feel the beauty of the earth. For example, the beauty of the nature or smell of the flower or something like very beautiful. And I think it is what the only human can in the real world. Yeah, something like communicate with each other.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer. And your answer was kind of very important point for all of the human beings. So would you please tell us more about the importance or meaning of feeling and touching or seeing beautiful things in our life? What is the meaning of those actions?
I think that the real life is very important to establish our characteristics. I heard our characteristics is sometimes made from the real world things like nature or something like the real life environment around us. And so our emotions are become very rich compared to focusing on only the smartphone.
Okay, thank you very much. Why do you think recent people tend to focus too much on smartphones, or they too much rely on smartphones?
Okay, when I was riding on the train, sometimes I realized that everyone staring at their devices, and I imagine the old people in this earth, and I imagine everyone are looking down, and I felt it was very strange. Originally people don't look down, and people should look up and communicate with people, or feel or experience the real world things.
All right, time is up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eboshi, and thank you, Mr. Shima. Now is the judging time.